Back in high school, I did a few shows, and I remember that we had this makeup artist who was a proper professional makeup artist. He did stuff down in Chicago, and he had worked in New York, and he had these baskets of different makeup kits and a drinking problem. He was a true professional. And I remember at one point he was talking to us about this actor that he worked with in New York, and this was a kid of about 20, and he had this one scene in like a 5-hour play, and his entire job was to walk from the left side of the stage to the right side of the stage at about the middle of the play. But the character this kid was playing was supposed to be something like 80 years old, so he would have to show up way, way, way before everybody else, and he would sit down in the chair and the makeup artist would come over and he would just start to work on him, and he would notice that this actor, just as the makeup started to come on, his shoulders would start to hunch down and his movements would get a little bit slower, and by the time the makeup was done, he had completely transformed into this 80-year-old man who had the sole desire to walk across the stage. I try to make that strategy work for me, that as I make my bed and clean up stuff and raise this chair up and charge the camera and get everything set up, I can slowly transform into the person that I am on camera in front of you guys. What I find though is that it doesn't usually work, because I get everything set up and I'm slowly trying to transform, but I don't have an idea of what this whole character is supposed to be. I get a lot of inspiration from other YouTubers and they all seem very natural. They just turn on the camera and they talk about something weird or funny that happened to them that day, and I start to think, well, what happened to me today? I sat over there in front of the computer, and I don't know what it is that's my voice. Sometimes I try to be sincere, sometimes I try to be funny, sometimes I just rant about crazy things that I think about. And it gets me incredibly frustrating, because all of the criticisms that I have with the stuff that I make really stem from one big thing, and that is, I should know what it is that I do on this whole YouTube thing. That I shouldn't feel like I have to take cues from other people who know what they're doing, that I should know what my own voice is. So as I was having my thinks about things, I went back and rewatched some old Zay Frank videos, and I came across this clip.
Another thing that helps me is to realize that when I'm in the beginning of learning something, and the beginning can last a couple of years, by the way, not just a couple of weeks or months, in that time, you don't really have to worry about finding your own voice. In fact, that kind of gets in the way. You can copy people. Sometimes that comes naturally when you just read someone, for example. You just start using their voice. Try reading Borges, for example, and not writing like him for the next 2 days.
And I started to laugh because he's basically reprimanding me for doing exactly what I am doing. That I had this presumption that, well, I've made hundreds of videos and it's been a year, so I should know exactly how and what to do. And I don't. And I'm angry about that. But the reality is, I'm still very new to this. So I've decided that I'm going to give myself permission to be a noob in these matters. And I don't know why I'm telling you this. Maybe it's just so that I've said it to you, so that I can't just keep fighting it in my brain. But maybe it's also just a matter of trying to help you also see that if there's something that you've been working on and you feel like it's been enough time, I've put in enough hours, I should have this down, that sometimes it takes a while to get out of that point of being new. And maybe ideally you never stop being a beginner.